Actually, I've been a fan of Elvis actually for a good part of my life. My grandmother was a long time ago, but we've been coming here for 13 years. And since we come here and see more, so my friends and I have really started to appreciate the man.
Well, I kind of got into Elvis when I was 11, 12 years of age. My mother's always been a big fan of Elvis, so one day she bought the gold #1 disc, so I just started listening to vinyls and basically spelled from there.
I've been a fan of Elvis since maybe since I was about 14 years old, which is about the late 80s. When all the Elvis is Alive stuff came out, it kind of got me interested, and I learned more and more about Elvis, and I just became an instant fan of the King.
Well, I guess my dad, we were at a radio remote station, and they were doing a remote, and the guy, I was probably 5, 6, 7 years old maybe, and he asked me, he goes, "Would you like a record, son?" And my dad goes, "Yeah, just give him something that sounds like Elvis." It was actually a Conway Twitty record, and but I remembered hearing his name. And so I asked Mom if she'd give me an Elvis record. So we went to the store and got a bunch of Elvis records, and that was it. And I saw him live in 1977 in Norman, Oklahoma.
Ever since I toured the Wonderful Mansion, about 5 years, 6 years.
Been a fan since, oh God, I have to say since I was born. And I just decided this year to do an impersonation of Elvis. I just did a show last night, a 50-minute show for Images of the King here in Memphis. And I guess I got turned on from my mother when she had me, because she was a great Elvis fan.
Well, I've been a fan of Elvis since I was 12 years old. That's been about 47 years.
As long as I can remember, I guess probably 5, 6 years old when I first watched the 1973 Aloha from Hawaii concert with my parents. They really actually introduced me to Elvis at that point.
Since I was about 10 years old, so give away my age, that's like 40 years.
Oh, I remember Elvis all the way since I was a kid back in the 70s. And lived in Memphis a couple different times, so I've been able to appreciate Elvis in the Graceland area, all that Memphis has to offer.
Just one thing led to another. I have a big love for the King of Rock and Roll. And if I can go out on stage and entertain audiences and turn people on to Elvis, that's the best feeling in the world to me.
Dad, actually, because he saw the young Elvis in the 50s, and he bought me a movie called Elvis on Tour. It was a documentary, and that got me into it. And I looked at Elvis and I went, I can do that.
I'm an Elvis fan from now more than 16 years. So I was 14 when I discovered Elvis Presley. It was my sister who was a fan before me. And I fell in love. I don't know why and I don't know how, but he came to my life alone, by himself.
I've been a fan of Elvis ever since I was born, my whole life, ever since I can remember.
I would say that I've always known about Elvis. I can't even remember when he died, so I was about 10 or 11 or 12 when he died, so probably between 12 and on. And I'm not going to tell you how old I am, so you can't figure it out.
It would have been back in the 60s. I started collecting his records and magazines, books, and things like that.
There's so much about the man. It kind of all, you know, it all draws you to him. You know, his generous heart, his family ties. You know how family comes first. How many rock stars would make a success out of themselves and move their mother and their father and their grandmother into the house with them?
I first became an Elvis fan through my dad. My dad has been doing Elvis for a long, long time. I started off as his scarf guy. I was pretty much his Charlie Hodge. And we started touring the cities and doing the contests, and I kind of got hooked after a couple of contests, and I decided that I wanted to take over and do it myself.
My mom, she had some records, 68 Special. I remember seeing Elvis in his white dream suit in front of the big Elvis letters and red lights behind him. And I just thought, man, that guy looks too cool.
Oh man, an Elvis fan. My dad, he's a huge Elvis fan. My middle name's Charo, after the movie Charo, Elvis movie. And so growing up, you know, I didn't really get to see a lot of Elvis shows, and there wasn't a lot of that. My dad's a minister, he's a preacher man, and so you know, one day we were watching TV, flicking through the channels, and there was this man on stage in this black leather machine. Oh my gosh, I was like, and he was flicking through, and I was like, Dad, what was that? And he pulled back and he was like, well, you never seen Elvis, boy? You know, and I was like, no, I've never seen Elvis. And so I got to sit there and watch the 68 comeback special with my pops. You know, and it was the first experience of seeing Elvis. I mean, I'd probably heard the music. They play Frank Sinatra, you know, and all the different oldies from the 40s, and you know, any old singer. I grew up on old movies and old singers, so I knew probably the Elvis songs, but I never put two together until the day I saw it, and I was like, wow. And then it was just a whole different thing. I mean, it's kind of like, you know, we were kids, and I had a buddy, Michael Moore. He's my best friend still, and you know, we put our grease in our hair, man, slick it back, and you know, try to pull the curl. You know, we were tough, you know, because Elvis was tough, you know, and so to us it was just this whole rebellious, feeling good, man. Elvis was so cool, and then when you dive in as an Elvis tribute artist and you make your way through that, you start to develop this love because you start to dig into true Elvis. You know, like the true Elvis fans that I had before my time, they actually got to see and live through it. So to be an Elvis tribute artist and to live through it is like seeing it from your first time. You know what I mean? So I actually got to experience Elvis, even though he wasn't here. You know, I wish I'd got to see him, but it just sold me out for who he was. And you know, he followed Jesus, man. He followed the Lord. To me, that's a huge deal. You know, so to see a man actually go far, being humble and servanthood and love and peace and joy and this tranquil spirit of happiness, you know, that comes from God. You know, it gets the fruit of the Spirit. So you know, when he does a thing like that and it becomes this blown up, the biggest thing in the world, man, and you got to respect it, and you see it all through his life, the trinkles of his blessings and him giving away everything that he had. You know, he just cared and loved people. You know, so why can't you? I mean, how could you not love a man's legacy? It's that legacy.
I think it really started when I was like really young, because my grandmother and aunt watched me a lot, and my parents worked long-hour jobs. They were the fans. My parents really like weren't. So it kind of started from there, and watching That's the Way It Is, Aloha from Hawaii. They were 70s fans, so the jumpsuits caught my eye at a young age, and just singing on the coffee table and singing around the living room. It was a dream come true for me, thinking I'm at the Madison Square Garden, and that's kind of where it all blossomed from.
Fan of Elvis? Oh, since my earliest memory was probably about 4 years old. My hair's going everywhere.
I've been a fan now for about 10 years. I started doing this when I was 14, just had a ball with it, and really enjoy the people, really enjoy the whole Elvis deal, so it's really a pretty cool thing.
His voice, I heard him on the radio the morning that he died, and asked my sister to go and buy me a record. I always had this vision in my head Elvis was a movie star, not a singer. I never knew he was a singer until I heard these songs, and that was me, man, hooked.
Probably when I was 6 or 7 years old, and that was the time when he died. It was in 1977, and I became a fan because of my mum and dad. And I had a little itty bitty suit when I was 8 years old, doing my thing in my little itty bitty suit, and it still fits me today.
Did you first become an Elvis fan?
Oh gosh, my mom and grandmother grew up on Elvis, and had me grow up on Elvis, and I just watched him from when I was a kid. I remember sitting at my grandma's house watching This Is Elvis, and I was like 4 years old, 5 years old, and my mom used to listen to Elvis on 8-track tapes. She had a '66 Mustang I used to ride when I was a kid. Just always listened to Elvis, you know, on tour and stuff from 8-track, and just grew up on him, you know.
7 years. So right here, it's my first time in Memphis, Tennessee. I'm so very happy.
His music, his life. I grew up in the 50s, and I was in love with him when I was 15, and Dwight's the closest thing to him that I've ever found. So.
All my life, as far as I can remember. I got my first little record that I could play. My grandmother gave it to me. It was Hound Dog. I don't remember the Hound Dog part. I don't remember what the flip side was, but I just wore it out like crazy. I was about 3 or 4 years old.
My father used to listen to 70s Elvis in amongst Nat King Cole and Perry Como, and it was his music by far that I used to put in the 8-track and take everything else out. So that's what got me into it.
First time I saw Elvis, I saw the movie Jailhouse Rock actually, and well, I just thought he had cool hair, so and immediately I knew I was connected to his music and to him as a person.
I'll be 53 in November, so I've been, as long as I can remember, Elvis. I was a Ricky Nelson fan at first, in my younger years, and they had a contest, popularity contest, who was the most popular, Elvis or Ricky Nelson. And of course I was pulling for Ricky Nelson, but Elvis won, because I never heard Elvis sing at the time. When I heard him sing, then I was hooked with Elvis, and we lost track of Ricky Nelson.
I've been an Elvis fan ever since I can remember. Probably the first time I really enjoyed Elvis music, I was about 5 years old.
I've been a fan of Elvis ever since I was old enough to listen and appreciate music. So I'm probably about 8, 9 years old. My family played Jerry Lee Lewis and all the Sun recording artists in the house on the old 45. So it's been quite a while.
All my life? About 51 years.
That's a long time.
It is.
I've liked Elvis pretty much all my life. I've just always liked music. Like, I grew up around all kinds of music, from classical to heavy metal. And I liked rock and roll. I listened to a lot of Beatles and Pink Floyd. And then when I was in high school, and then I kind of began to figure out the influence of them. And it kind of all went down to Sun Records, you know, the blues and rock and roll and people like Elvis and Jerry Lee Lewis. And so I really enjoy it.
When I was 9 years old, saw that '68 comeback, and my mother got me the album, and that was it. I was a fan since then.
I've been a fan of Elvis since I was, before I can remember, 3, 4.